Hello, I'm in this room because the other room, there's a fun fair right outside the window. There's loads of screaming, and I thought that that could be quite apt, you know, when we're talking about this video by Diane, but at the same time it might be a bit distracting. In this video, I'm going to carry on looking at the end now of Diane's horrible racist video. So to remind you, without having to actually show you again, she's just shown us a heap of dead bodies and she's compared children who grow up and then go no contact with the Nazis and Chairman Mao.
Crimes against humanity. Is this the kind of America we want to live in? Because the tyranny of the fringe is taking us there. We cannot let extremists of any kind take over civilization, or it will lead to ruin. We need to turn away from cancel culture, look out for each other, and focus on what's good, versus stewing in negativity for hours and days on end.
In each of her videos, what comes across to me is somebody who has been stewing in negativity for not just days but years at this point, and who is saying all of this negative stuff about her daughter and about other people like her daughter. Her daughter hasn't been in touch. Her daughter hasn't made a video shaming her mum. She's trying to get on with her life. She's talked about how the day she ended contact with her parents was the most difficult day of her life. So she doesn't sound like someone who's stewing in negativity. She sounds like someone who was pushed to her absolute limit, didn't have any choice, and is now trying to repair the damage and just rebuild her life. But as usual, Diane is continually projecting.
Stewing in negativity for hours and days on end. We need to encourage real conversations, but with empathy, reason, and emotional resilience to meet these challenges together without destroying each other.
Does resilience mean putting up with someone who doesn't show empathy towards you and just putting up over and over again with their abusive behaviour? Because a smear campaign is a form of abuse. And then there are the other forms of abuse that her daughter mentioned in her letter, the gaslighting, the guilt tripping that we've seen plenty of evidence of throughout her videos. In Diane's mind, if you don't put up with all of that, you're not empathic and you're not resilient enough.
And it all starts at home with the plight of the parent.
Here we go again.
Most parents learn parenting from their own parents and try to do better. Yes, there are many books with conflicting opinions about how to be a good parent. But until you're in it, you really have no idea how it feels viscerally to be raising another human being from baby to adult. It's like being in an alternate universe of unbounded love, laughter, joy, and connection, mixed with insanely difficult, head-spinning, mental and physical challenges that bring you to your knees every single day.
So every single day, Diane was brought to her knees because her children were just so difficult. Is that realistic? I don't think it is realistic. It makes me think of the parents who have children with special needs, who really are overstretched, you know, who are showing kindness and who are showing compassion and really caring for their children, and at the same time emotionally and physically exhausted. And here's Diane talking about being a parent as if you're literally pushed to the very limit every single day. I think that if she was, that speaks volumes about her. Honestly, if you saw her daughter's channel, and I don't even remember what it is now, and I wouldn't want to broadcast it, but somebody at some point mentioned it, and so I saw it. And if you saw this young woman and how she comes across, as well as her other daughter who has joined a monastery, you would see that they both come across as people who have been lacking in self-confidence. And I think that her daughter, who's no longer in contact, is still trying to find her voice.
Mental and physical challenges that bring you to your knees every single day.
Diane found it so hard to connect with another person And when you have a child, most of the time your ego isn't going to be boosted because children are not supposed to be putting your needs first. And so for somebody who needs constant admiration and constant validation, they're not going to get that from that child. Maybe for a narcissist, their child just seems continually selfish and mean, just because they're being a child.
Every day, parenting is not for everybody, and it's okay not to go there. But if society continues in this direction of disposable relationships, encouraging kids to ditch their parents when they're no longer needed, then beyond further splitting America, who's going to sign up for having kids at all? If society applauds your children for deserting you after a lifetime of support, well, that's just another huge hole in the Jenga tower leading to America's collapse.
Have you ever heard of somebody saying, I don't think I want to have kids because they'll probably go no contact with me? It's not something I've ever heard before. I have heard people say, I was abused and I don't want to be like one of my parents if I have a child, and I'm afraid of taking that abuse out on my children because they've had this sense there's something wrong with me. I don't feel stable enough to have kids. I don't feel I can offer them what they need, and I know what it feels like not to get the emotional support you need. I don't imagine Diane would have thought that for a moment, because even now, when her daughter's gone no contact, she's still not talking about what she may have done wrong as a mother or what she may not have processed herself. America is about to collapse because of horrible, awful people like her daughter who are going no contact. That means that humans are presumably about to become extinct because of people like her daughter.
I'm not really a religious person, but I do think those 10 Commandments bring a lot of common sense to the table. They're kind of the foundation of civilization. Number 5 tells us to honor our father and mother. It doesn't say love them, it just says honor, as in to recognize, treat with respect, appreciate.
This is something that's come up on one of the courses I'm running, and so I want to talk about this because some viewers might be Christian. So what does honour thy father and thy mother mean? Don't abuse them. Respect their human rights. Don't blatantly disrespect them, in other words. But it doesn't mean if your mother and father are abusive towards you, you still need to speak to them on a regular basis. And you need to put up with the abuse and be okay with it, because otherwise you're disrespectful. Does she think that she's a religious teacher? Because that's how she's coming across. What about that part in the Bible that says the person who throws the first stone should be the one that hasn't sinned? Why doesn't she read that bit out? I don't think any religious text, unless you're a religious teacher, is about telling other people how they're supposed to behave. It's about learning yourself. What can you get from this? How can this help you in your life? And if you want to grow, how can it help you to grow? But Diane isn't using it to grow. She's using it for the opposite reason. She's using it just to keep pointing the finger, to keep trying to feel high and mighty, which is, as in my understanding, that's the opposite of the point of the Bible. We know that Diane replied to her daughter simply received when her daughter had just poured her heart out in an email. She's put her across in a really bad light, and she's blamed all the world's problems on her, pretty much. She can disrespect her daughter as much as she wants, but she's found this line in the Bible, and so therefore her daughter is supposed to be giving all of this respect to her. That's what's owed to Diane, simply because she gave birth to her daughter.
Some may say, I didn't ask to be born. I don't owe my parents anything. Perhaps, but life itself is a gift. You get to be here, create dreams, and pursue them. What do you say when someone gives you a gift? You say, thank you, because someone did something nice for you.
As if the parents only chose to do it because they were being really charitable. We just feel like there aren't enough people in the world already. You know, the population is massively declining all over the world. And so we're just going to do a really generous thing and bring someone new into it. Let's just do someone a favour and have sex, okay? And then when it comes to giving birth, look, I really don't want a baby, but I'm just going to do the kind thing for this, you know, person that wouldn't be born otherwise. And then after all, I will be thanked eternally for it. And so I should be.
But life itself is a gift.
It's nothing about, isn't it amazing how the oxygen level is just right and gravity is just right, and, you know, all of these things that people either in awe of because they just think it's amazing that nature has provided all of this, or they attribute it to a god. But Diane is taking all of that on as well. I mean, she's pretty much saying she's God.
You get to be here, create dreams, and pursue them. What do you say when someone gives you a gift?
And so her daughter should be praying to her every day and acknowledging how wonderful she is, because she's given her the gift of life. She's probably going to think, you know, she's given her daughter a soul. But for someone like Diane, that's exactly why they have a baby. You know, they have a baby because they think, look at what a lovely, caring mother I am. Everybody can see it, including my daughter. And of course she should be grateful and thankful.
No parent is perfect. No child is perfect. We are all flawed human beings. If we can't forgive ourselves and others for what happens in life, our anger will eat us alive.
In other words, people who have had to go no contact with their parents because they've really needed to be able to hear their own voice, to protect themselves from people like her who have been crushing their boundaries over and over again, must be full of rage. And the rage is the problem. Well, that's interesting because I found the exact opposite in the work I do. I found that most of the people I work with, not all of them, but really the vast majority, have had so much difficulty with being able to feel angry, with being able to get in touch with their anger. Their first feeling is guilt. You know, it's either guilt or anxiety. They constantly feel responsible for other people, you know, and they constantly think that they're not entitled to their own feelings of anger. And a lot of the work we do is towards helping them to begin to feel their own anger. Because you have to be able to do that in order to be able to protect yourself in the future, and in order to be able to process what's actually happened to you and to understand that it wasn't your fault. It didn't mean you were worthless. It didn't mean you were less than. You didn't deserve any of the abuse. But Diane is again projecting, because her anger is very evident throughout all of her videos. And she's decided that this is the anger that her daughter must feel. That her daughter must be so angry, and that's why she's gone no contact. And that must be the case for all of these angry adults who are just obsessed with their own rage at their parents. And it's so far from the truth. And Diane has been making all of these videos, putting so much energy and time into perfecting them with all of these, you know, bits of footage everywhere. And in some of them, you know, these different sound effects and everything. And all of them have been about trying to show the world that she's a really great mother who's been horribly mistreated by her horrible daughter. You know, that's anger. These videos are signs of how angry, how furious Diane is, that her daughter is not under her control anymore. I just wonder what would happen if she took her own advice. You know, if she just sat for a moment and thought, oh, maybe I'm meant to respect people. Maybe I should be respecting my children. Maybe I should be not harboring all of this resentment and anger. Maybe I should trust that my daughter had reasons to need to protect herself. But I mean, obviously that's never going to happen because this is Diane.
At the beginning of this video, I asked if children dumping their parents is the new American normal. Looking at all we've seen so far, I'd say yes. Disposable parents are being normalized more and more every day.
Going no contact with a parent is not the new normal. I think Diane wants it to be the new normal because then she can consider that she is normal. And this is this terrible fad, you know, it's just taken over the world and poor Diane is just stuck in the middle of it. What's she meant to do?
But it doesn't have to be that way. As Gandhi said,
oh my God.
Be the change you want to see.
Just look at this. It's such a wonderful quote and it's really inspiring. And it's just quite alarming who has presented us with this quote. She keeps using quotes from people who actually did have a higher purpose. Can you believe she has just said to us, be the change you want to see? Because I guess I'm kind of taken aback because because I think with every video, Diane is showing herself to be more deluded than I could even have imagined she was. It's just amazing that she can say those words without thinking, oh wow, I've just done the complete opposite. You know, I've just made all of these videos slagging off my daughter and treating her really horribly and telling the world that they're responsible for all my problems. And that my daughter is. And yet Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. So maybe I've kind of screwed up here, but there's no sign of that. She's edited this video. She will have seen that loads of times that she said that line, and she will have seen this quote. She will have typed out maybe even this quote, or if not, if this is an image that already had that type over it, she still will have put it in, made sure it was the right fit. So she will have spent a long time with these words, and it still won't have occurred to her how she's just digging herself deeper and deeper. And just how ironic that is.
If you're an adult who's gone no contact with your parents, you've made your choice. So, of course, explore your own path. Just like your parents, you're doing the best you can with what you know. But if you don't feel empathy for your parents' hurt since leaving them, imagine if you had kids and they did this to you.
So again, it's all about these horrible children who've gone no contact, what they're doing to their parents. It's kind of like saying, it's so unfair how people keep dropping onto the floor in front of me when I'm trying to walk along. Yes, I've shot them with a gun, but so what? The point is they keep dropping down. I'm trying to walk along. That's what this feels like to me. You know, she's saying, imagine if your kids had to run away and protect themselves from you. Wouldn't that be selfish of them?
The people who raised you can be your strongest, most enduring bond in a chaotic world. Just consider reconnecting. Once your parents are gone, they're gone.
But if it was the most enduring bond in a chaotic world, her daughter wouldn't have gone no contact. And I suspect very strongly that her other daughter wouldn't have joined a monastery.
If you're a parent whose child has rejected you, you simply must heal. You can choose to be miserable, clinging to the expectation of grandchildren or family get-togethers till the end of time. Or you can let go with love and move on with your life.
And yet Diane isn't doing that at all. She isn't let go with love. There's no love in any of her videos. All of there is spite, a desire to put her daughter down to anyone who will listen. So it seems like she's playing a role of being somebody who knows better, being a teacher to everybody who needs to learn. This is how you need to handle your children not wanting to speak to you. You need to let go and then you'll heal. When is this going to happen for Diane? When is she going to do that? I think the only way she's going to be able to heal is if she stops blaming her daughter for everything. If she comes to terms with her daughter needing to protect herself, and if she is able to be wrong. And I don't see that happening. There's no sign that that is ever going to happen. So maybe Diane is never going to be able to let go. Maybe she is going to be bitter until the very end. I can imagine her croaking away on her deathbed, in her 90s. She's been owed so much. What a wonderful mother she was. Still going on and on about it. And showing videos of how pretty she looked when she had a baby. And what a wonderful mother she was as her daughter nearly stabs herself in the eye with a pencil.
I'll show you how in future videos. Letting go gives you freedom and puts you in a better place mentally should your child ever return. I mentioned earlier that cancel culture and social contagion are contributing to the breakdown of families. But there's something even more insidious at work in society today that most people don't even see. And I break it all down for you here so that you'll fully understand the hidden causes of estrangement in America today.
So these are the hidden causes of estrangement. So there is actually this special secret that nobody knows about until now. Now Diane is going to reveal it to us. Obviously, it has nothing to do with how she was as a mother. That's obviously going to be completely irrelevant. So I think now she's really trying to terrify people and say, this is just going to be like a dictatorship. They came for the communists, then they came for the socialists, they came for the trade unionists, they came for the Jews. It makes sense with a lot of these things, that the fascists came for the socialists, Nazis came for the Jews, all of that makes sense. But what on earth has this got to do with people who need to, for their own mental health, give themselves space from someone abusive? But in Diane's mind, she's so great, but no one is speaking up for her. People are just letting her awful daughter get away with not talking to her. And so we are going to be punished one day and no one's going to stand up for us. We should be chasing her down because Diane's given us enough clues to find her. We know so many details about her, so that's why people have found her on TikTok. So we're meant to be chasing her down and telling her, look, you spoiled brat, go and speak to your poor, sweet mother. We will be punished by the almighty Diane, who gives life. And I think it's how she consoles herself. Don't worry, Diane, she says to herself. They're not going to get away with this. And she wants us to be left for a long time to read this and really think about what this means. Don't forget, this is the secret as to why people are going no contact. And it's interesting how under her last video, you get quite a lot of her viewers talking about how it's going to happen to you. And she's said in this video, how would you feel if your children do this to you? I will take a look at that next video that she's put out. I'm kind of intrigued. I've had quite a lot of people email me about being on one of my courses, but they're concerned that they can't start now because we're midway through the course. I want to have a new lot of people starting a course with me. I run courses in America and courses in Europe time zones. So if you're interested in doing that, please get in touch with me. Send me an email. I haven't got a start date yet, but you can still see information about my courses on the website www.sanitysaved.com. So have a look at that and please email me if you have any questions, and just email me anyway just to let me know if you're interested, and that way I can start to have an idea of numbers. So my email address is contact@liveabusefree.com.